Welcome to No Room for Phonies, episode 83.
Where we're going to recap the Downtown Bike Hounds.
So the big quote for today is, "Consistency is what we need in life. The rest falls into place. Build yourself into a person you are proud to be, even if no one else is clapping for you. Purpose is the role you play to yourself, to your relationships, the way you care for others and they care for you, how you exchange love, how you bond with others. Not what you do, but the way you do it. It is not what you do. It is what you become. And you have this unconditional presence, bringing your own uniqueness to tasks and filling yourself up so that you overflow." And it's from the book, This Is How, When You Are Ready, This Is How You Heal by Brianna Wiest.
Wiest.
Anyway, so I thought it was pretty cool. And like when I was thinking about biking and, having good health and everything, I was just thinking about how it's not really willpower or anything. It's consistency. It's like every day.
Build yourself into a person you are proud to be, even if no one else is clapping for you. I think the consistency piece is, if you think about that, it's easier to be consistent because you're not worried about
what other people are thinking. It's kind of very similar to Seth Godin and the book I'm reading right now called Practice.
I thought that for a minute it was from that because of the clapping line.
Yeah. But I like the idea of purpose being just the role that you play, and and not about it's not what you do, it's the way that you do it, the way you do your relationships, and I like the term unconditional presence. Like I'm there in my life without
any
conditions on anything. I'm just doing life. So anyway, I thought it was really cool, and it's a very cool book.
I need to read it. Well, it's on my list.
Yeah, it's on my Kindle, so you can read it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just start by talking about what our experience with the Downtown Bike Hounds was. So
we went in last summer to look at bikes and
on the recommendation of Sebastian.
Yep. And we weren't actually going to buy the day that we walked in the first time. We were just going to shop. But we ended up
buying one. And then in the end, we really were only looking for me.
Your bike.
And then because it was such a good deal...
Yeah, so then
we bought two bikes. And we were able to test ride them.
Which was very unusual because you walk into a downtown store in an urban place and you're not really thinking you're going to be able to test ride. And when you shop at a big box store, you definitely can't ride one.
And it really did make all the difference. Like I knew when I got on my bike that I really wanted it. And I just liked...
And they had spare helmets there for you so you could try it out.
But anyway, we ended up, and we couldn't bring both bikes home that day, so they stored the one in the basement and we went back and got it.
That's right.
Because we didn't have the bike rack or anything on the car. So we had to we brought my bike home and we had to put it in the
trunk.
And
then we went back.
Yeah, but it was just... that was our experience, and that we were really excited about the shop. And then when we left there, they had put on the kickstand, the 2 water bottle holders, the bell, everything was on our bikes, ready to go.
Yeah.
And and
I just liked his, when we had Will, that was the guy who sold us the bikes, just his patience in kind of educating us about the bikes we were looking at and about the width of the tires and the type of gear possibilities.
And I felt that he really did listen to me about what I wanted in a bike. Because Sebastian had told me I wanted a certain kind of bike, and then when I explained to him what I was really like as a rider, he didn't recommend the 2x2 kind of a bike for me, because I don't want to get stuck on a hill where I can't get up the hill because I'm on a 2x2.
You need the bigger gear range.
I needed that range. So that was our experience. And
which is what inspired us to approach them about doing a podcast.
Yes. And then I felt like it was really important for me to understand what for him to understand what my style of cycling was in order to fit me with a bike that made sense for me. Yeah. And I think he also appreciated that, like, I want a bike. I'm more of a destination biker, as I think I said in the podcast. So I want a really comfortable bike, but I didn't want to spend $3,000 on a bike. No. And my bike was, I think it was $600, which you can easily spend at Walmart on a bike.
Yeah, but what a difference.
What a difference.
And it's quiet and it shifts.
Yeah.
And then I really liked him listening to me too, because, you know, I wanted a little bit more of a road bike, but I wanted to grow in my ability to go faster and further. And so he took that into consideration. Otherwise, I think he could have given me another one like yours.
Yeah.
Just the men's version. But I got a little bit more. Streamlined.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm really happy with.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, it is really important when you go to buy a bike to go to a small store. And I mean, we obviously recommend this place, but, and if they don't kind of ask you what you're going to be doing with your bike, then I would get out.
Yeah. And if they don't offer you to take it for a test ride, then
I would get out too. Yeah. Because it's not, like, I know of these bike stores.
Well, remember that other place in Port Colborne you went to with Sebastian at the beginning of COVID, and they were so snotty. And,
like, these guys are not snobs about biking.
Not at all.
They just want to, and I think this gets on to the next point of, like, their survival, and their key to survival as a small business is that their reputation is their relationship with clients, and they're really wanting to listen to the client and understand what they want, and then support them after they're riding. Like, we witnessed when we were there, this guy came in and he needed a certain kind of a tool. Right. And it would have taken a while for it to come in.
Because Amazon didn't even have it.
So he went in the back.
And sold them a used one.
A used one for less money.
Yeah.
And the guy was, like, super happy. So,
and then you just imagine how many times he's coming back.
Well, and then the day that we were in buying our bikes, this young kid came in with a bike, and he popped it up on the stand and did a whole bunch of things with it, and he didn't even charge the kid. Like, he just looked after his bike. And they do have a really good service plan for bikes.
Yes, they do.
Like, the first level is like $70, and then it's around 100 and something, and then it's more like, it's like the taking apart.
Yeah, how much they clean, how much they take apart.
So I think
and Sebastian just told me today that his bike from the UK, like, when he started riding it, he still noticed the sound that threw him off, and he took it to them early on, and they said, "Oh, you're missing the spacer." And it wasn't put on, or it was whatever. So they put this tiny little spacer on, didn't charge him. Yeah. And now it's quiet.
Yeah. But they know he'll come back for other stuff, and he'll buy other stuff. And, you know, and we're going to put our bikes on the rack soon and take them up there for a service. Yeah. Like, I actually want to do that fairly soon. So anyway, just,
once the ice melts.
I think the key to survival, is understanding the clientele in their neighborhood. Like, they keep the kinds of bikes that a lot of their clients want.
A lot of them are commuters.
In the
city, on bike paths, on concrete roads.
And I mean, he talked about.
But the other thing is, like, building relationship. I mean, everything I've been reading about marketing and successful business growth is, you know, we're done looking at ads. We don't believe ads anymore.
No.
We don't believe...
A lot of us don't even have TVs that play ads.
Right. And then the internet and ads and the banners and pop-ups, we just nix them or put on software to block them. And so ads don't work, and salesy type sales pitches don't work. Right. And email after email after email doesn't work.
Well, you just block them.
You just block them, unsubscribe, whatever. So what's actually finally making a difference is, like, back to how it used to be pre-technology, where it's the relationship you have with the business and their reputation.
Right. And I mean, I can tell you 100 times how I've gone into a business to buy something and walked out because
the service I felt
is so bad. I felt and the thing is, there is a bike shop in Port Colborne. I could have gone to that bike shop quite easily, right?
Yep.
But I didn't like them.
No.
They were condescending and made you feel small for not being like a biker.
Yeah.
And their bikes were $1,500 to $3,000,
Yeah.
like ridiculously
different
priced.
market.
Different market, right? Whatever. But I can't see that in Port Colborne that's the market. I don't know how they do it. But anyway,
it's not
obviously.
the population. But.
So he talked a little bit about the impact of COVID, right? And I mean, it's just the whole idea, is the COVID impact going to just continue and continue and continue? Like it really bolstered.
You mean the supply chain thing, or the fact that it made everybody want to start cycling?
The cycling
Yeah, I don't know
industry.
how long that's going to last.
Yeah, it's just interesting. But they weren't really relying on that before. Like they've been there for 10 years. Yeah. So obviously it's given them a boost, but that's
then
not
all of a sudden they dried up and there was no more supply. So then but
that's still not their kind of baseline business. It's their baseline business still exists. Yeah. COVID gave them like a little boost, but
and notice I don't think they had kids' bikes, did they?
No.
So they aren't really. That's not their.
I think they would get you a kid's bike if you went in, but they're not. That's not their. A lot of people are, when they buy their kid a bike, are going to Walmart.
Yes,
because
they outgrow it.
It's cheap. They outgrow it, or they're getting them off Kijiji or something, right?
Yeah. So
I don't know I don't think it probably has changed cycling forever. Just like I don't think it's.
Well, look how many people have stopped going for walks.
I know
the pathways and all the hiking.
Well, and the other thing,
empty.
A friend of mine was saying, who works for a big company, that they're now wanting to require their people to come back on site. So it's like not him particularly because of his job, but like some of the other people, and like you're noticing that at the college too. That. People still are striving to not work on site, but
and students aren't wanting to come on site because they have jobs now and they want to have afternoons and evenings. And
it's changing.
It's changing, but I think that's going to be a little bit more permanent.
Yeah, I do.
As long as the economy is strong and people have jobs. Yeah. It's when people don't have jobs, then they come to college from 8 to 4 because what else are they going to do?
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to watch that. And the different kinds of bikes, I think we kind of talked about that. And if you want to know where to get some good cycling in the area, go back to our other podcast.
Yeah, go back and listen to Sebastian and Nick. Do you remember what episode number that was?
I'd have to go and look, but I'll put it in.
We'll put it in the show notes.
But yeah, there was a bike. Well, and I mean, you can go on the blog.
Yeah.
And just look for cycling and
NoRoomForPhonies.com.
Yeah.
Search for cycling. You'll find
and the 4 is a number. No room 4, number 4. Boom.
Right. And also what made me what Will said at the store is looking for a cycle club, like bicycling clubs. And that's easy.
Some of them are little bit high end for my taste.
Well, they're a little bit racy. Or not racy, wrong word.
Not racy.
You know what I mean. High speed or...
Well, or the other thing
push the bounds, right?
Or they're very status.
Yes, it's the $4,000 bike and
the traveling to different countries and all those kinds of things.
No, but I think there's probably, if you go to meetup.com or Facebook, you probably can find a little bit more.
Yeah, and I mean for us, we like to bike. He talked about the credit card bike ride where you you basically bike to an inn and then you stay there and then you bike and you bike for breakfast and you have breakfast and then you bike home. And that's my favorite actually kind of biking, where we kind of have a destination. We bike there.
And it's not about like, can we do 300 kilometers today?
No. And I mean, we're a 20 to 30 kilometer ride people. And I don't know that I'll ever see myself tons more than that. Like if I really planned it out, I might be able to do 50 or something, but I'd have to be able to stop part way and, regroup and do some more. So anyway, but some of the cool takeaways from that day, again, going back to, if you're running a small business, the importance of listening to the client. to kind of, and I felt like he wasn't.
And I think as consumers, we should be pushing back more and advocating for better service.
Yeah, I do too. Like,
I was
that I do. Like,
I know.
if somebody,
but I mean, I was in Montreal a couple weeks ago for work, and understaffed hotel, but the waiters that were serving the conference group, like, and I needed the gluten-free thing, they were like, they bent over backwards to go and find something in some freezer somewhere so that I could have something like for dessert.
Right.
And I said, somebody else ate the desserts that isn't a gluten-free person. And they said, yeah, because it was chocolate.
Yeah.
But it was the manner. It was like they were very proud of their job.
Yeah.
And these were guys in their 50s, waiters
I
that
find
were career
it
waiters.
Less
and
maybe that way when you're face to face, kind of, and it's a
but
higher.
look at the surly faces you encounter of people over the counter in stores, and the indifference.
I guess, but I'm just thinking like on like.
Well, those people don't have the unconditional presence. They're not unconditionally present in their job at the moment. They're kind of,
but I mean, I just kind of like when you call and then you wait. Well, like the problem I had at the bank, right? Because I did an e-transfer and it didn't go through. So then I called to figure out what had happened, and he basically said, "Well, just cancel it and then do it again." And I said, "But if I cancel," and it was for a rather large, like a larger sum of money. Like if I cancel it, then it's going to take 20 days for it to go back in my account. And so now I'm going to be out double that amount, which was like
a lot.
So then I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And finally he figured it out. And finally he showed me how to go in and check what had happened, which he could have done right from the beginning.
Right.
So the funny part was when I picked up the phone, the first thing they say is this bank is award winning and whatever. Yeah. So I said to the guy, the first thing I got told when when the phone was answered was that you're an award-winning bank. I said, you're obviously not award-winning for this, because this is the second e-transfer that I've had a problem with. And he was like, oh, and he kind of laughed, but it's like, don't tell me you're award-winning. Well, and didn't he say
call back, and then you said, well, I don't want to wait another 15 minutes.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I made him stay on the line while I made sure everything was done right and figured out. But yeah, and I had that same experience with a doctor, receptionist calling me back and trying to get me onto one of these online things where they keep your records because it's shifted.
Right.
And she wanted to hang up, and I said, no, you don't. She said, well, you can always call back. And I said, well, I can, but you don't pick up the phone. Like, I can call back, but you don't pick up the phone.
It just goes to answering.
It goes to answering machine. Oh, she said. I said, so I'm not calling back. You have to sit on the phone while I make sure this worked. And it didn't work at first. Yeah. And it took a while, and she was very impatient. I didn't care.
Yeah.
Like you get what you demand, I think. And I felt like I didn't have to demand anything. And I felt like they weren't talking down to me, but they were listening to me and saying, well, if that's what you really want to do, this bike might be a better option for you.
Right.
Not telling me I couldn't get the other one. No. But explaining to me the features of the other one. And if this is what you want to do, this bike will be the one match. Because he doesn't want me to walk out and then come back 2 weeks later and say, why just sell me this bike? It doesn't even meet my needs.
Right.
So hugely like, like he talked about all the different kinds of biking. Like if you're going bike packing or commuting or pulling a trailer or just like whatever it is you're doing, there's a kind of a bike for that.
Yeah.
So I also like the discussion of thinking of your bike as a vehicle and, around maintenance and following the rules of the road. I mean, we would never think of, disobeying the rules of the road when you're behind the wheel of a car. I mean, some people do speed and do some things, but I mean, generally you have to, or else you lose your car. But I've seen bikers,
I know,
like take a lot of chances, and I mean, I know that cars are not as always watching bikes either. But I think if you are following the rules of the road and you stop when you're supposed to stop and you stay on the proper side, and I mean, for us, we stay on paths more as much as possible. We do a little bit of roads, but I mean, only now there's more and more roads with bike paths. So, and only to kind of get to the next path sometimes. So I don't know. I thought that, and the whole maintenance thing, like, I mean, for us, the maintenance of our car is very important because we want to keep it a long time. So but it makes sense that it should be the same for a bicycle. Yeah. Especially if you spend a little bit more on it, you want to keep it maintained. And it was interesting to learn about, like, bicycle mechanics are pretty much self-taught through courses put on by the people who make the bikes, more or less. More or less, right. And that there could be a opportunity for colleges for a what do they call them? Micro credential. In bike repair. Like, that'd be a very cool, like, you know, a 6-month program or a 4 to 6, you know, whatever. Absolutely. So that I thought was cool. And, you know, 2 things that I think I've learned is the importance of lights day and night. And then the other thing is that whole idea about that little hesitation you do on your shift. Right. So that you're not shifting while you're in motion, that you kind of do that pause. That second pause and then shift and then go. Yeah. That really helps your bike to stay, like, in better shape. It doesn't strain the gears. Yeah, so I mean, it was a really interesting discussion. He was really knowledgeable about everything and very laid back, which is part of what is nice about the shop. The shop is also, it's an older building, but it's very, very clean. And the shop area itself is clean and organized. Yeah, like, you the whole workbench, all the workbenches and everything, all those tools are very like organized. Sometimes and all the little parts. And yes, there's areas where you can tell they use grease and oil, but it's still all cleaned up afterwards. Like, it's not. And he said they work hard to do that because it inspires confidence, right? To be organized and clean, not have stuff all over the place, especially when you're repairing. Yeah. Well, and then just to find all those little pieces. Yeah. So all in all, go back and listen to, if you haven't listened to the episode with Will and Sebastian was there, and they do some great with the downtown bike hounds. Yeah. So listen to it. Listen. It was great. And so next time, March 15th, we're actually going to do the Road to a Healthy You with Dr. Carrie Rungitz, our naturopath/dietitian. So so that will be something to look forward to for next month. And we're actually going to do it from her Airstream, Carestream. Yep. Like, it's like a camper thing, but it's an Airstream camper, but it's a clinic inside. It's a mobile clinic. It's a mobile clinic. So we're actually going to film and speak from that venue. So thanks for joining us again for No Room for Phonies, episode 83, a recap of the Downtown Bike Hounds. Good night.